Okay, let's talk about enlightenment. I mean, what is it? It's an improvisation on your current philosophical framework. And this is influenced by your peer group and the context in which you live, the time, the era, the decade, your nationality, and the nation in which you live, your socioeconomic status, and your age at the time of enlightenment, and all these processes. Turning off the light in my bathroom. All these processes evolve and are influenced and go through different transitions, which are more or less in different ratios. For instance, you may be influenced by your age. You may be 20, but in your nation, in the nation in which you live, being 20 is not the same as being 20 in another country. For instance, being 20 years old in Italy is markedly different from being 20 years old in the United States, like on the West Coast. You're more, in Italy, you would be more chained to the traditions of your family, whereas in a place like LA or Kansas City, you're breaking away, and there's a generation gap, and you're doing things and have different ideas, different from what your parents did, and the generation beyond that, your grandparents, especially starting with the 1960s when the generation gap really widened. It started to narrow again, though, in probably the 1990s. So if you're 20 years old in 2022, you're gonna be closer in idealism and musical tastes. You'll be influenced by your parents, and there'll be less strictness. You're less parental authority. Your parents will be more like your buddies, which is sort of odd, because that's how they developed. They got away from their parents' authority and the huge generation gap of their parents' generation. So someone that's 20 years old now is closer in perspective. The parents are more like peripheral guides, and many parents try to be buddies and friends with their offspring, their sons and daughters, and take them to rock concerts that they used to like, and influence them in their artistic tastes and their social idealism and their political thought, and try to avoid that generation gap and have a closer relationship. But it doesn't work. It's a little bit odd. But however, if the parents have good values and good musical tastes and good philosophical frameworks, then it's a good thing. But you can never completely negate the necessity of parental authority. There is a hierarchy. You can't be on the same level as your parents. Otherwise, there's no structure, and you don't learn respect. You don't learn respect. So that's a problem with a lot of the parents of my generation. And as far as enlightenment goes, enlightenment can occur at any age. Some people are older when they're enlightened. They may have gone through the stages of life, marriage, parenthood, mortgage, long-term job responsibilities, job responsibilities, financial responsibilities, real estate. They may not have time to sit down and, ponder what it's all about, and they won't have those moments of clear space where they can just experience enlightenment. Though they can get a different form of enlightenment, which is through successfully passing through the stages of life and succeeding in them, succeeding in marriage, succeeding in parenthood, succeeding in their jobs, being disciplined and organized. That's a form of enlightenment. There's a clarity of mind and a singularity of purpose, which is the same as, in some ways, as a guru sitting under a tree, or someone with a great spiritual insight in a cathedral in Notre Dame, or in a monastery in Greece. Some people get enlightenment in high school, going to a rock concert, having 10 beers and a bong hit, and they just see clearly after that first bong hit what it's all about, especially when the music starts and there's a big communal sense of wonder and the energy of God exploding on stage as they and their friends watch the rock concert. It's really cool. Enlightenment can come through what I would say the heavy weight of adversity. And that's basically enlightenment through suffering, though sometimes it doesn't last. Sometimes you forget how much you suffered and all the lessons you learned when you were suffering. You forget the lesson learned, but all you have to do is recall it, recall that job loss or that surgery or that great illness or bereavement or getting dumped by your girlfriend or boyfriend or something really horrible happening in your life. All you have to do is remember that, and then you get to feel the pain again, and then you learn the lesson over again. But adversity and bad things happening, suffering, clears away all the unnecessary thoughts, desires, ambitions, and helps you focus on precisely what's necessary. I mean, you can walk around the world, there's so many temptations, and you want everything. And nowadays, there's almost no way to focus your mind because there's so many thrills and interesting things and photos and music, and there's so much media on the internet that you can be continuously stimulated. And also this arouses myriad ambitions, desires, lusts, aspirations, things you just gotta do. You form this huge bucket list of things you're gonna do before you die or before you get old. But the only problem is this clutters up your mind and causes you stress and distracts you from your real purpose in life. So that's my thoughts on enlightenment. I think maybe enlightenment comes with just a deep breath, exhaling, and then just being in the beingness of that, and not really being anywhere else but the being of beingness and the isness of that. And that's it. So be enlightened with a deep breath and a deep exhalation, and then just get into the clarity of that moment.